Let's rewind this. So starting off, essentially after the Soze case, Crane approached me and Adams, and he asked us to essentially fill in the gaps in the Constitution and rewrite a lot of the
Chat, I'll
holes
show
that
you the
potentially
map.
existed and to close them up. And we began down this journey of doing so. And while we were going down this journey, a lot of issues arose that basically led to the decision of creating a new representative form of government across the state, as the current council had essentially failed in their positions. So, as a result, the current constitution is being, I guess, stricken and rewritten into this new form. And this document is going to serve as the blueprint for which we build up our forms of governance. Um, it is essentially the base and immutable aspects of life here in on the islands, the rights that citizens have, and how certain aspects of the government can work. And it is unquestionable, and it will be authored and will be authorized and officially designated as such by representatives of the states, who will deem it to be that. So once it's in place, none of us will be able to edit it, which is why we're making sure that this is our chance to get the documentation worded appropriately to everyone's satisfaction. Now, with that being said, this document is a little bit more bare bones because it's supposed to create a lot of room for the local counties to govern themselves. So that means civil and criminal law will be up to each individual county. Obviously, there will be a
Oh,
statewide
fuck.
penal code that people still have to abide by, but counties will have full say over civil and criminal law within their borders, as
Open
well as full.
carry.
That is possibly something you can
Moonshine
do,
is legal.
possibly.
Oh,
So
Yep.
essentially, there's going to be four legislative authorities created out of this. There will be the Department of Justice, which will have legislative authority over all legal and judicial matters that occur within San Andreas. The job and duties of the Department of Justice are to ensure the enforcement of laws, uphold justice, and protect the
jaywalk.
rights of citizens. We will exercise our legislative authority through jurisprudence,
Jaywalk is
in
a
the
good
form of
one.
reviewing court cases, and contesting that you guys might do to any potential legislation that is written up. Additionally, we're going to have an independent enforcement office that is responsible for the oversight of law enforcement agencies.
Is that like the
And
commissioner?
no,
But like not the
it's
commissioner, but the commissioner. Like the kind of responsibility.
no, no, it is not like the
Yeah.
commissioner. You guys will have full say over how you handle yourselves. The commissioner position is being dissolved. If you wanted to create one, I'm sure you guys could do that. If you got with your mayors and have them create legislation to create a commissioner, like that could be the case. But no, this is a third law enforcement office that has separate goals. Um, it is essentially going to be created and tasked with the governance and investigative bodies of. Let me pull up my document here. It is going to be responsible for government corruption investigations. It will be responsible for guarding members of the DOJ as well as public officials if needed. They will assist DOC with guarding and armored transport to and from the courthouse. They will also have a secondary function of being able to assist with bench trials and bench warrant reviews if needed. Um, and they will have full prosecutorial authority over all citizens and members of the state of San Andreas, including police officers.
So like some FIB shit.
Yeah, so they were also
Basically, yeah.
basically you should think of this organization as the U.S. Federal Marshals plus the National Guard plus the FBI, whatever.
And who's gonna be doing that?
I will be the leader of that.
Oh, so that's your department? That's pretty
Yes,
cool.
that will be
Okay.
my department.
Is it just
it
one
is-
person? Like just you?
No. Well, I mean, like leading
Or
it.
you're gonna have like a whole department?
Yes, it's gonna
And
be a
they're
whole
gonna be
department.
hiring?
Yes, I am.
Like application process or like selection?
Yes, it'll be both. I'm gonna be pretty picky with who I pick for this position. So
Yeah, we're not just gonna take anybody for that.
yeah, it's gonna be
What do you mean
a.
we're? What you mean we're? Hold on a minute.
What the hell?
Hold on a
No,
minute.
I'm
What do you
just- you
mean
know,
we're not gonna? What you mean by that?
And
I
the
understand it's
royal.
like we is like the royal we, yeah. Like he's
Yeah.
not Cornwood's not like hired to this department.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
not
right now
hired
it's
yet.
just me. You know. So-
What do you mean yeah?
well, I mean, anyone could apply. Like
I mean,
if he
anybody
wanted
could,
to
yeah.
apply, you know, he could apply. You know. So
You're going federal on
Anyways.
this, Cornwood?
No, man, I was just talking.
But this is also going to be responsible for securing the safety of the state as well as the institutions within the state. So this unit will be given I'm going to choose my words carefully here. Uh, high-powered lethal equipment of the armored variety, as well as other
Uh-oh.
investigative and enforcement tools to ensure the stability and the safety of the state and
Okay.
all
Oh,
the entities
tanks.
within it.
Okay, so you're
Uh-oh.
going back in the fucking tank, aren't you? You're going straight
I
back in
mean,
that tank.
if 50 criminals try to storm City
All right.
Hall, yes, I am going to show up in a tank. To
If
blow
I
them
were
up.
there, that shit would have never happened. Last time they stormed City Hall, I caught an excessive force charge or lawsuit, but they didn't get
Well,
they
now,
didn't get everywhere.
under this new form of government, if such a thing were to occur again to threaten the stability and the peace and tranquility of the government or its institutions, such as yourself, like if people tried to storm the police departments, I can declare martial law and take whatever actions are necessary and required to protect the Constitution.
Can you like suit me up if it ever comes to martial law?
Yes, the law enforcement agencies would be drafted into this.
Like, but you'll draft specific people, right? Not everybody.
Any warm body that is a police
Really?
officer and is trained and willing to take on the charge would be drafted into it.
Oh, so it's not really martial law. It's just
It's definitely going to be martial
our
law. I
laws.
mean, like it's
is it martial
100%
law? Just it's
martial
run
law.
by military only.
No, it's just the military gets involved.
Martial law in the meaning that I'm using it means that a lot of restrictions or freedoms will be restricted and they'll be imposed upon the civilians, and there will be a loosening of the standards required to enforce the law.
All right.
Basically, whatever is needed to be done to quash a rebellion, as long as it's within a reasonable purview, should be able to be done.
I mean, all this sounds fine.
So, people try to storm the police departments again. You have 50 criminals break in there. I'm going to suit up everyone that's not there. We're going to roll in with tanks, assault rifles, and sniper rifles, and we're going to blow them away.
All right. What are you driving, though, if it's not tanks?
What do you mean?
You got an interceptor?
What vehicles will we have for, like, regular use?
Yeah, you got an
we're
interceptor?
just going to have, we'll have unmarked vehicles, no interceptors.
All right. Just wondering.
Right. We're also going to have some more advanced investigative tools that we'll probably share with the other enforcement agencies. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
So yeah, that's essentially the first section of just what that enforcement agency does. If you're okay, I can continue on to explain the rest of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay. So next
I'm
up,
fine.
in the legislative authorities, we'll have Blaine County and Los Santos County. They govern themselves the same. The way that they're set up is somewhat the same. There's some things that we have not entirely decided that we're probably going to decide tonight. As it is right now, the sheriff was an elected position, and there's no effective term limits on that, from my understanding. What we're probably going to be doing
3 months.
is enforcing some level of term, not like term limit, like, but like there will be a re-election period. And we are deciding if these positions will just be appointed by the state or if they're going to be publicly elected. And that goes for Al.
Cornwood, what the fuck?
No,
That's not appropriate, Cornwood.
Okay, you didn't see what I saw.
Okay, all right. But we're still
was a spider
deciding if
there.
these positions are just going to be appointed by the state or if they will be public elected positions as well. So it's possible that the chief of police and the sheriff might be up for election. That's the question mark, though.
Okay.
We're going to need to talk with the state further on that one and see what exactly they desire.
Okay.
I'm just kind of going to the formalities of what's written into the Constitution because this is the framework
Yeah.
that we operate by. But as it stands, the Blaine County and the Los Santos County will have
Jobs on the line.
mayors or directors, whatever we end up calling it.
We are not
And they
going to
are
win a re-election.
essentially
There's no way.
they're a one-person council, so they can implement legislation.
I
they
highly
can,
doubt.
create
But I don't
and
know who
remove
else would be
legislation.
sheriff
Essentially, at
like
will.
right now.
They're more than welcome to create their own cabinets and spread the power around, or they can take it all upon themselves. It kind of really depends on how they want to handle their own business. I know it sounds like we're giving a lot of power to people, but we're also creating new processes that will allow people to be held accountable for their actions. So if the mayor of Blaine County implements legislation that you guys have serious umbrage with and you want to contest, there's a mechanism in place that lets you stop it and contest it and have it reviewed officially to make sure that it is not in violation of your constitutional
Well,
rights.
that's good.
Or you can make arguments that can appeal to it in other ways, even if it's not strictly unconstitutional. And if the people have an issue with what is happening, they obviously can have their own say. There's going to be a mechanism through which the populace, the civilian populace, will be able to put forward legislative changes.
I wouldn't mind.
And obviously, those can be contested.
I hope it would be
and
Cassidy.
they will be reviewed.
I actually hope it would be
legitimacy.
Cassidy.
So it's not just all the power in one person's hands anymore. Even as like the Los Santos Police Department or BCSO, you can propose legislation under this new system.
Okay.
But it's going to be a lot more expensive for you guys to do it compared to the mayor, right? Like they essentially can kind of do it at will. You guys are going to have to pay for the privilege.
Wait, how much we talking?
Yeah, how much?
Like what?
Like $250,000.
You said fucking
Huh.
repeat. I don't think
shit.
we need.
Like
I need.
there's also going to be new
I
ways
spend
for
a
these
lot.
counties to generate their own income. The idea that I currently have floating around in my head, and I think what we might end up doing is just that the fines generated are going to go to the police department rather than the state.
I like that. I like
Okay,
that
yeah.
idea.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the an idea that I proposed like 3 months ago.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Well, you're
that's-
gonna need this
I
money
think
a
the
lot more,
state
though,
disagreed with
so-
that.
Yeah.
That was a state thing.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a lot of this stuff is still kind of up in the air upon final confirmation from what the state wants, because the state has had some input on this, but they essentially want the DOJ to create this, and then they will give the final sign off on what is and is not going to be happening. So
yeah, I get that. All right.
So
Forward.
essentially, their idea is they want a blueprint in place that is uncontestable, that they approve of, that we base everything else off of.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's good.
So
Question. I this might be a dumb question. I don't know if you covered it, but like, if calls need backup in the city, we can leave our jurisdiction and do stuff in Los Santos still, right?
of course you can, yeah.
Okay.
Law
just sure
enforcement
that's
officers
outlined.
can still enforce laws in other areas. Like if you were patrolling through the city, that's fine. But you have to play by the LSPD's rules because they have say over the law enforcement matters that go on there. So they can take scenes from you. You have to obey their conduct rules. Like you're on their turf. You're in their home.
What if
you know?
Okay, and if we make our own some laws up north, and you see that this has turned into like the Wild West, you know, it's some crazy shit up north, but like it's all similar in the city as it is now. Are we
Your hands
gonna
off
get?
me.
Are you gonna like be? Are we gonna get in trouble by y'all, or like what's going on there?
For what exactly?
Like, are
No, I
we
mean,
gonna
it's
have
just the
people
law.
that are above us? Like you're probably still gonna be above. Like you're gonna be a checks and balances on the
We're
stuff that
not
we.
above you, but we are a check to you guys.
Okay, so like if
No
we,
one is
if
above
we add
anyone.
felony jaywalking tomorrow, or say if this was in today, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
added felony jaywalking.
And so be it. You added felony jaywalking.
Now, but if there's something that you seemed extreme or that you thought was extreme, you guys wouldn't overturn it.
If someone wanted to contest it and they wanted to argue against the creation of the
They would
law
have to
and they
pay.
initiated contest it, yes, they would have to pay to contest it
Oh.
for the first thing. But secondly, it would then be brought before us and we would review the constitutionality of it specifically is what we would do. So we are going to compare it with the Constitution. There's a section I haven't gotten to yet that I'll explain to you in a bit, but we're essentially going to go through and make sure that it is not in violation of any of the constitutional rights that civilians are afforded, and that it is not in violation of state supremacy or other constitutional articles. And if it's not, then it's going to be upheld. Alternatively, if the will of the people is to strike down a law or they have arguments that can be made against it, those can also be heard. So either A, the argument can be compelling in the damaging nature of a law, or other, you can make up some arguments and have them be heard, and we'll still hear it. But the main things we're looking for are, damages or violation of constitutional rights. And if something's not going to really cause either of those, then we're not going to strike it down.
All right, this is
Okay.
good. Listen, I think that there should be like, I think there's somebody should be like checking if we do some dumb shit. But I think that's just gonna fall on us whenever we get
Well,
reelected.
everyone's going to
That's
keep
kinda
you
what-
guys in check.
I'm being like devil's advocate, right? You know?
Sure. But,
Like, I'm
but I
just
need
saying
you
the
to
extreme.
understand that in this system, you guys are the check to the mayor. The mayor is the check to you. And the people is the check to both of you. And the DOJ is also the check to those as well. And you guys are the check to the DOJ. And everyone can check each other if they want to. If they want to file proceedings, they can do
Question.
that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
What if the people are stupid?
Do I have to respond to the city mayor?
No.
Fuck.
He has no power over you.
Wait, none at all?
I mean, if you're in his
Okay.
jurisdiction, then
Yeah.
the laws that he creates, you would be affected by.
This is
but-
good.
Okay.
And they don't. What about if I go into the city? Of course, Barrick is like my boss in this case, right? But he comes to Blaine County, then I'm his boss, yeah. But if we're each in
I
our own
wouldn't say-
jurisdiction,
I wouldn't
we're
say
nobody's
boss,
boss.
but he is on your turf, and he would have to.
So
I mean,
like a
sure,
half
I
step
guess.
up the chain.
Sure, he's essentially not like your boss. He's like a
But I'm
guest
in his
your
house.
space. He's well, yeah. If he
Well-
comes to Blaine County, Barrick's into your house,
Yeah.
and if you want him to leave a scene, if you want him to get the hell out, you could tell him that. If you need him to change his conduct,
Yeah,
if you
house
need him
rules.
to-
House rules.
if you need to take a scene from
Yeah.
him that's in your jurisdiction, you can do that. That's within your rights to do.
It's like if you're playing beer pong at your buddy's house and he has like a rule on like, oh, fucking, you can only do one re-rack, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, makes sense.
That's right. Yeah. You know, if you have a rule that you got to take your shoes off in the house, they got to take their shoes off. But
Alright.
you know, they can still come up and enforce the law to a point.
This sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds great.
Yeah, it all sounds really good.
Yeah, I think it'll be
it's going to be good.
it'll be a good time.
I should also mention that as separate jurisdictions, if you guys wanted to make law state law, all that needs to be done is both districts can agree on a local law or piece of legislation, and then it will be immediately de facto state law and state legislation.
So I mean,
I like that.
so it's basically in the state's best interest to have two mayors that see eye to eye.
State doesn't care.
They probably
No,
want
I mean,
fucking,
sorry,
Yeah,
I mean
I
the
mean, if
actual.
they
state,
want
like the
chaos.
physical. No, I'm saying the
person
physical.
The people, you mean?
Yeah, if
Yeah, I
person
guess.
one wants A and person two wants B, like they can still have A and B in their own respective areas.
Burner gold.
But if they both
would be
want
so-
A or both want B, then they can have it for everybody if they're in agreement on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's good.
This is-
Great. So obviously, then the DOJ would be the check for that. And then finally, there's a fourth legislative authority called the San Andreas Medical Board, which is going to be responsible for implementation medical licenses and medical facilities throughout the state.
Is that Cantor running that?
No, they're right now the way that we think they're going to do is they're going to be 3 internally elected healthcare officials. I don't know from what pool we're going to be pulling from. I'm going to
Cantor's
bring
not a
this
part
up
of that.
tonight at the meeting tonight, and we're going to kind of go through this in more in depth because I think some of this needs to change. But right now, the way it's written is it would be 3 internal healthcare officials that would control the medical board and legislation regarding health and the procedures around it. So that's pretty much that. Anyone that's elected in a public office will also be eligible for impeachment. So that is myself, you, Hornwood, Bones, Barrick. Anyone that is in a public office is eligible and available to be impeached from it. I should mention that when I say impeached, they have to be impeached for cause. You know, you can't just. It wouldn't be a situation where, like, you know, you arrest Mr. K and he doesn't like that, so he gets like 100,000 people to vote to have you impeached. What would happen then, if you were officially impeached in a situation like that, and there is cause, it would be brought forth for review either by the DOJ, or if it was an affected part of the DOJ, it would go before a third party council put together by the state and representatives from the states, and they would be impartial, unaffected parties that would have a decision in the removal or the keeping of you or any potential punishments that would happen thereof.
Wait,
So there needs
you
to be an
said-
actual reason for you to be removed from your position, you know?
you mentioned you said anybody who holds a public office,
Mhm.
but like, so I wasn't elected.
No, Cornwood wouldn't be in that. It would be me, Barrick.
Yeah, sorry. It would be
Yeah.
you and it would be Bones and Barrick. My apologies, Kernwood.
Okay.
And Bones would have to answer for employing you if you did stupid shit. So let's say that hypothetically, Cornwood, you went
Oh, I'm
and
gonna be fired so many.
you committed murder or
Oh.
something, and Bones protected you and he didn't let you get fired. What ones could be impeached for that? And that would be cause actually. That'd
Dude,
be
so many
corruption.
people are gonna get fired.
I mean, I didn't do
Fucking
murder though.
people.
Yeah, that's an example.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you guys are responsible for the people you employ and their actions.
Barrick, you're
What if
fucked.
there's no proof?
You guys want
Barrick,
to
you are
Denzel? No, I'm just
fucked.
kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
that's what
I'm just kidding.
I was thinking exactly that. Dan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
mean-
Dan.
You got Opal. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, but
Oh wait, actually, Barrick, you weren't elected either. I just realized you were appointed.
Yeah.
That's correct. But under this new system, he might be appointed by the mayor, or he might be appointed by the state, or he might be elected.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But he is
Okay.
still going to be eligible for impeachment regardless. That
Wait.
is something that was made pretty clear to us, is that anyone that holds a public-facing office like this, like a justice or a chief of police or whatever, are eligible for reproach from the people. It was a very
That's how it
important thing
should
that
be.
they stressed with us. So
That's my
question.
biggest complaint about the council in the previous 2 terms. Like,
yeah,
you know, a lot of people could have their different opinions on if something was being done wrong or inappropriately or
Mhm.
in bad faith, but
yeah,
it was almost like a Game of Thrones in a way with the council.
yeah. No one should
If
be
you wanted
untouchable.
to actually impeach somebody, it's
Yep.
like impossible.
Of course. No one should be untouchable. The idea behind this is even if the impeachment
guy, thank you so
articles that are
much.
drafted against you are not necessarily like, because in the past you basically had to have like hard proof that they were doing some terrible, horrible things, like awful, illegal things to actually remove someone from office. And that's probably still going to be the case, but that also doesn't mean that if you're doing shady, illegal things that are not as horrible, that you still shouldn't be able to be held accountable for them. So an impeachment might not necessarily remove your removal from office, but it could result in punishments in some form.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
This seems good.
just keep that in
Everything
mind.
sounds good so far.
Okay, so
What about
next
hot
up,
pursuit? Sorry.
what about
before-
it?
Guy robs a bank and then runs up north. What laws apply to him? Is it just the laws completely switch up if
The
he goes
laws
past
where
counter border?
the crime was committed is what will apply for that specific crime. If he commits another crime while he's up there, like shooting police officers, and there was an enhanced modifier in there, like let's say that Blaine County added a modifier for shooting cops during a bank robbery, which is a $100,000 fine or something. If he did that up there, then that would be subject to that jurisdiction. So he would be charged for the bank robbery per Los Santos County's laws, and then the whatever modifier that they put in that place. Just keep in mind that that's like a complete hypothetical, whether that exists or not. And there's going to be state laws in place for a lot of the basic, obvious things that everyone will abide by regardless. So
You're able to
that's
add charges, right? That's not going to be a pain in the ass to like get charges added to the
I
penal
can
code.
do it right now. If there's any
Okay.
issues with the penal code, I could do it right now. So, which actually
Okay.
there are some issues which I'm going to be fixing. So
I just didn't
You
know
said
like
this is
how
all going to be.
annoying this
Sorry,
is.
go ahead. You said this is all going to be outlined, like within the next.
yeah,
certain-
tonight in a few
Yeah.
hours we have a meeting with the judges where we're going to basically finalize a lot of the maybes that I talked about with you.
Yeah.
Just keep in mind some of the stuff we talked about might not happen, might look different, it might be in another form
of
fashion.
course. Yeah.
A lot of this is just what we are working on right now. Could change. So.
Okay. All right.
So next up, let's talk about rights. Basically, we wanted to have outlined and simple rights that everyone has to or has guaranteed to them, sort of like a Bill of Human Privileges, but these are immutable. So we have them listed as follows. The right to assemble. Citizens are free to assemble peacefully, provided it does not hinder the rights of others. The right to free speech and thought. Citizens are free to express their thoughts and beliefs without censorship or coercion. The right to dignity. All citizens shall be treated equally and with respect, free from discrimination. The right to information. The citizens have the right to access public information necessary for their well-being. The right to petition. Citizens have the right to present requests, grievances, and proposals to their government for consideration. The right to a fair trial and due process. All citizens are guaranteed a fair trial and due process of law. the right to privacy. They have a right to personal privacy and protection from unwarranted disclosure of private information, and the right to health and protection of others. The citizens have a right to health services and the right to protect themselves and others within reason. As you can see, there's a lot of room for interpretation that can be drawn from any of these. So, you know,
So fucking vague.
there's a lot of room for work to be done with your local jurisdictions, and there's a lot of ways that you can argue back against laws too. Additionally, there's 3 other rights that in under Article 4 for social services. People have the right to healthcare, free housing, and the right to bear arms. That one is gonna have a big asterisk next to it. Yeah, that's kind of what we have so far.
Okay.
North elections and South elections. Is it just going to be anybody in the state votes for those positions, or is it going to be split up by people that actually live up north?